Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Hate speech, that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. No question, hate speech is on the rise all over the world. The internet's driving it because you can say any vile thing you want on the net while hiding under your bed. Cowards everywhere are using cyberspace to lower the bar of discourse. That in turn has made it easier for fanatics to use vicious rhetoric in public.
She'll just be looking for a husband who wants the only virgin in the world with breast implants. They also paid for Carrie to cut off her.
This is about hating a black man in the White House. This is racism straight up. That is nothing but a bunch of tea-bagging rednecks.
America is pouring gasoline on the raging fires of God's wrath. America may expect many more dead and maimed bodies from Iraq, many more Katrinas and other natural disasters.
Well, now the British government is saying enough and is banning some of the haters. The Brits actually have a list of people not allowed entry into the country because of what they've said. There are a number of Muslim fanatics on the list and also some Americans. The most prominent name is Michael Weiner, a.k.a. Michael Savage, the radio talk show host. Neo-Nazi blogger Eric Gliebe is on the list, as is Jewish militant Mike Gazowski. Don Black, former leader of the Ku Klux Klan, on the list. And the gay-hating father-daughter team, Fred and Shirley Phelps, you just saw Fred, are also banned from Britain. Problem here is, where does the list end? The vile attacks on NBC News against Miss California were hate speech, no question. So were the vicious comments directed toward the Tea Party demonstrators. Will the British government close down NBC's London bureau? And British politician Alan Duncan, will he be deported for his comments about Miss California?
Well, I don't agree with her. Silly I mean, I don't agree with her at all. If you read that Miss California's been murdered, you'll know it was me, won't you?
Well, the hate speech goes on. How about the gay protesters who invade churches? Can they not go to Great Britain? How about the Minutemen? They protest against illegal aliens. Will the British ban them? Truth is that protest is sometimes defined as hate, but that definition can be wrong. There are often two sides to a story, thus the hate speech list is risky business because there are so many contentious points of view in the world. So I say the list should be narrow to people who advocate or incite violence. That should be the standard. Certainly democratic governments have a right to keep the peace and diffuse violent movements before illegal acts are committed. But banning someone for hate speech, as vile as it is wrong. So I think the NBC News Bureau in London should stay open. That's a memo. Now for the top story tonight, how did the British government actually come up with the list? Joining us from Washington, the D.C. Bureau Chief of the Sunday Times of London, Sarah Baxter. So I guess it was the UK Home Secretary, Jackie Smith. Was it, she just take out her pen and paper and say this one, this one, this one, and this one?
Well, of course, she got advice from civil servants, intelligence services, etc., about who to include. But what really happened was that she wanted a list of Muslim extremists and so-called preachers of hate banned from the UK for domestic reasons, because we've got a lot of preachers of hate preaching from the pulpit that we can't get rid of in Britain. So it was like, well, at least we can stop them coming into the country. But then, of course, that was looking borderline racist. So the instruction went out, go and get me some angry white guys and put them on the list as well. So your point about where does it stop is very well made, because incitement to violence is one thing and sounding off in an unpleasant and often hateful way is another.
Okay. I just want to be clear about this. How do you know the Home Secretary brought in the politically correct stuff? How do you know that?
Well, I don't know for certain, but I know the kind of politics that are played in London.
Okay, so
and
this is an educated...
political correctness is all the rage there.
Okay, it's an educated guess that when the first list was put out, it was all Muslim extremists who come and preach in the mosques, kill this one, kill that one, jihad, and then they said, oh, we got to throw on a couple of other white guys, as you put it, who are inflammatory as well. It makes sense. I just don't want to be unfair to Jackie Smith. I don't know the woman, but you know, maybe someday I'll get to talk to her. Okay, now the reaction to this in America would be outrage, because most Americans, as much as they despise Janine Garofalo and the guys who attacked Miss California, and they do despise them, there's no doubt. They don't want them, you know, harmed in any way. I mean, the fair-minded people don't. Has there been that kind of reaction in Great Britain?
Well, I think this has been portrayed as a gaffe for the Home Secretary, who's been extraordinarily gaffe-prone recently and has been the subject of a lot of other controversies. I think there's quite a lot of anti-American feeling in Britain, so it's like, well, we're not too bothered if Fred Phelps doesn't come to the UK.
Well, how do you know? I mean, Phelps, you know, he could come there any time, and so could any of the people on that list.
There's surprisingly little outrage about the actual fact of the list, though, Bill. This is the interesting thing.
Do they know?
We don't have a
who
guarantee
these people
of
are,
freedom
though.
of speech.
They don't know who they are. They know the Ku Klux Klan is a neo-Nazis, but you have your own neo-Nazi skinheads in England.
Well, not only that, but we can vote for a neo-Nazi party in the European elections if we want to, and they're hanging around there, so they're standing for election soon.
Look, I looked at the list of people who are banned from Britain. I wouldn't let those people in my house. I wouldn't wash my hands in the same sink with those people. By the way, Michael Savage, who I am not a fan of, the radio guy, Michael Savage, he should not be on the same list with Nazis and Ku Klux Klan guys and Aryan Nation. I mean, that's just wrong. But here's the thing. A great country that believes in free speech should be big enough and secure enough to let people in who have vile opinions, as long as they're not inciting violence. They should let them in with vile opinions as long as they don't do vile things. Look, I'm against hate crime legislation. In all cases, I'm against hate crime legislation because I think you punish people not for what they say and not for what they think, but for what they do. And it's the same thing here. If they do something bad, you don't let them in the country or you kick them out. But if they have unacceptable opinions, a great country should
transcend that. So you agree with me
that
the standard should be violence. Anybody who has partaken in violence encourages violence. So therefore, the imams who come in from Pakistan, and most of them do when they speak in Britain, who have a history of inciting people who want jihad, you can keep them out because they're a public safety problem. But somebody who makes a living... Go ahead.
I would disagree only slightly. If somebody is in a group that has a history of violence but has never incited violence, fine. Let him in with his vile racist views. But if they have incited violence, no, that's another matter. A country doesn't have to open its doors to people who are going to say something that touches up a riot.
The former Klan leader, would you let him in if you were the Home Secretary?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I would.
I'm not a crook.